BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, use leverage tokens, and copy the trades of top trade. There's hundreds of crypto available on their spot exchange, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi.
Hello everybody, welcome back, good morning. I feel a little bit like Groundhog Day around here to you. It certainly does. Every time I sit down here in the morning, it does feel like Groundhog Day in crypto. We're having a little bit of a move at the moment. It is what it is. We'll have to digest it on the shorter term time frames to see if there's any reason whatsoever for this move, or if it's just a little bit of a buy for no reason whatsoever. If we do carry on like this, which it does look like we're going to continue on for a little bit, a rejection around 62,000 is most likely based on this 1 hourly. We're going to get a pump signal on this one, but look, just with this one move, I don't know what's causing it, and it's literally just happening now. It's a Sunday, which is usually a pretty lame day for a trade. And, it's just, there's really not much to it. So let's just wind our necks back in. Let's think about what it means to close this weekly tonight and what this ought to do for the price action. So the most important thing for Bitcoin, after pulling back to this level, that we can extend we can extend it. Oh my God, we can extend this over here. So look, we came down to hit a horizontal. It is a reasonable area to have come down to on a wick basis, but the candle body for me is the most important component of this. If we can close above this 21 exponential on the weekly, it gives us a little bit more confidence that maybe the low is in and an attempt to make its way back up to the top ranges is more likely. But by saying that, we can see that the 10 exponential is crossing over the 20 simple moving average, the Bollinger Band center, adding much more weight to this idea that this is a resistance that could cause a lower high. It'd be a bit of a problem, I reckon, to see a lower high get generated from there, because at that point we should be thinking, well, actually, maybe we're going to downtrend for a little longer. The summer is still young. I've not even taken my kids camping yet. Do you know what I mean? I've not even gone on a holiday yet. Not a real one. The summer is still young, really. So we were expecting a consolidation throughout the summer. We're certainly getting it. But really, it's only, 4 weeks into this main consolidation. I know we had one over here, but this technically was the first lower high. It was ever so small and subtle, but it was. And so look, if we are going to consolidate between now and let's just say maybe even September, for instance, which could be the case, we can go lower. We can make our way down to $52,000, which is where this breakout took place, as well as other aspects on other time frames, such as the 10 exponential on the monthly, which is down here at around 53,000, and if we take our 3-day, there is nothing else down there, nothing else. So look, I'll be looking for probably lower if we get that lower high. And I suppose the 50 exponential on the weekly could offer some support. It's currently at 51,000. And it would be a golden cross. If it's anything at all, it would be a golden cross retest. That's what it would be. Part of it. The next major low would be down here in the 30s. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves, thinking about new all-time highs or significant lows. We don't really know at this point now. The one thing that I suppose would be a really good setup and signal, and I don't know if this is something we'll see this time, but if we ever did see it, I would be calling an absolute low, and let's just hope that it turns around sooner rather than later, because if we are going to have to wait for this signal that I'm going to talk about now, it would probably mean much lower, into the lower 50s, which would be the classic signs of divergence on the weekly money flow index, which does spot lows. So we've got bang, bang, spotting the absolute low, bang, bang, spot the absolute low, even in the form of a black swan. They also do tops as well, bang, bang, spot the absolute high, bang, bang, absolute low, bang, bang, absolute high. So it's a very simple, probably too simple, yet valid way to spot major swings in this market. Which I suppose, it did go into part of the reason why I said we're likely to see consolidation, which is why, getting out of altcoins and just out of the market and making trades safe and simple was something that we were looking to do from December. Yeah, December. We're happy to hold from here until December's highs, when we had the money flow index reach a significant high over here, which anecdotally was very high. Normally we see these major tops form with money flow index on the weekly up into the 90s. We've seen that here, absolute high. We saw that here, close to the absolute high. We saw that here, close to the absolute high. So it gets closer and closer the higher we go. It's only when the divergence kicks in, bang, that we get the pure top. So I was like, okay, well, this is overheated, so let's just be careful. And then when the divergence kicked in, I said, all right, let's just be very careful here. And careful we were. Anyway, if we get that bullish divergence on the weekly, it would require a lower low to form on this one. And so what we might be seeing first is a lower high, to then see the lower low, and then get the divergence, which is a higher low on the money flow index on the weekly, which could take us a couple of months to find that significant low that would say, this is the one, or this is close to the one, just like we've seen in the past when we've spotted the absolute lows, the absolute lows, the absolute lows. So anyway, that is that. Let's take it to a daily to see what's going on the daily. Okay, so front running the 200 exponential. So I mean, just to put it to you now, that the daily is still bullish in its structure still, while being above this area, this $58,000 zone. So the prospect that we could come down to sweep that and then bounce is still valid. We do have a short signal though at this point now. We've had it for about a week. Short signal on the Ichimoku cloud, which should take us down to the next major area of resistance. So the short signal was generated when we saw the Chiku span close below this cloud. And if we were to measure that down, that would give us a move of around 6.7%. It's not a big move, to be honest with you. But Bitcoin has been quite resilient in its moves down. It's been way more aggressive moving up than it has been moving down this time round. I don't know if that's anything that you've noticed, if you've been a bit more seasoned with Bitcoin and something that you've traded for a number of years, basically, maybe a cycle or two or three in the past. This is it's pretty tame when it comes to the downside moves for Bitcoin, not for altcoins, but for Bitcoin. So maybe a 7% or just short of a 7% move down is the way it is going to go with all these hungry ETF buyers. And just propping up the price, really, sustaining much less damage on the way down, and making the risk to reward probably more attractive. Look, bullish in structure, bearish in signal. Let's have a look over here. So this is bullish divergence. This is not. This is showing some signs of turning up, but really it's a bit early to call anything on this daily on Bitcoin here. And obviously the 4 hourly is still a bearish downtrend. There's nothing you can say to turn it in any other light. A rejection on the 50 exponential over here, 62,000, same as our 1 hourly that we looked at the beginning, and a potential move up to 64, close to 65,000 on the 4 hourly here again. Major area to get rejected from, which could easily be the lower high, which corresponds to pretty much all the time frames. So, long story short, Bitcoin is positioned currently to at least sweep the lows once again, if not break them. If and only if, and again, this is where we can sort of think about things turning around. If we can start to get above this area, this 200 exponential on the weekly, on the 4 hourly, and a number of other moving averages that we've seen on other time frames, and back into this box of significance, it's at that point where we might be able to say the downtrend has finished and the lows are already in. Retrospectively, we could say that. But until we see that, I don't really feel too confident calling it either way. Every time I sit down here in the mornings, I look at these charts and I'm like, they're so unbelievably boring. But then again, isn't that what we were talking about since December? Through December, January, February, March, April, May. We talked about that all the time. And so now it's happened. So, I mean, this is what the money's all about, isn't it, really? You get all that money from all that successful trading, loving it, stocking up that money, keeping it safe and ready for these boring times where lows get generated. Lows that people wanted back in December, January, February, March, April. I wish I could go back in time and buy that. Well, you're going back in time now, price-wise. The prices of altcoins particularly are going back in time. you have the opportunity to buy at prices that you wished you'd bought at previously. So this is why it's good. The reason it's bad is because it takes a while. It's taken ages. And look, we haven't broken down properly at this stage now. So this isn't anything other than a timid, small little pullback that we're getting on Bitcoin. It's really not that bad. This could be the tip of the iceberg. It could be, and I'm not saying that it is, but it could be the tip of the iceberg. This closure tonight is going to give me a little bit more insight into where everything's going to go over the next month or maybe 2 months, which would be probably down towards 52,000, to be honest. That's not going to go down well. If anybody's watching at all, I've noticed that YouTube is very quiet, at least on my channel, which I don't understand why. Because I've been telling everybody about buying low in October, selling throughout December, and any trade that you do in this little parabolic portion of the market should be a buy the dip just to sell the rip. It's not parabolic season. This isn't going to go much higher, and do not get used to high prices. Told everybody about all that. And then any move down since we lost this area is fair game to start dollar cost averaging into whatever it is that you want. So, I mean, that is the strategy. It hasn't changed for, 6 months, almost 7 months now. I've been saying exactly the same thing. So I don't really understand why people don't like that. Maybe I should just make one video a week, or maybe even one video a month, because sometimes it does feel like that is probably the best way to make these channels, these videos on my channel, because the biggest swings are done on the highest term time frames, and I can look at intricate charts with 4 hourlies and whatever, and to try and shed a little create a few percent here and there potentially for for the viewers. But really, the biggest swings are done on the weekly, which is why I keep trying to put it to you that the weekly isn't showing any signs of a major swing low like it does here and here and here and here and here and here. Yeah, it's not doing that. So, and for me, I love weeklies. I know that's a strange thing to say. I don't have a tattoo of that, for instance, but I do. I love the weekly. The weekly is always the best one for me because it shows the biggest moves. If you get the weekly right, then you can enter in and then sit back and relax and get hundreds of percent. If you're sitting around trying to scrat around on a 15-minute time frame, you commit so much time to such little gain back. I know that that's the dream for people who think of day trading. Oh yeah, I'm a day trader, baby. I'm sitting around trading the 15-minute chart, baby. Oh my God, do you really want? Do you have the time for that? My God, no. I'm a weekly guy, all right, where I spot the absolute highs and the absolute lows, or close to them basically, and enjoy the big gains. I can sit back and carry on with my day. I could do anything I want, really, because time is on my side, really, at that point. And we don't have that sort of setup around here. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't bounce from here, which is why I'm saying waiting for the candle close tonight on the weekly. If we do close here, that would be quite good. Arguably, if we close a little bit higher, it'd even be better. You would get something known as a hammer top candle, which is quite bullish, with a big wick below it and a small portion of candle above it, especially if we can close above this area. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see the price action close below the 21 exponential, because it does, at that point to not just a revisiting of the lows, this $58,000 zone, but potentially over the coming weeks, coming down to around 52,000, where we might, at that point, find the divergence that could take us back up and then into this area and then beyond into September, and then see where we go from September if we go to the holy grail, $100,000 Bitcoin. Finally, if you're still with me now, looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart, I suppose the hopium we were trying to sell on the channel yesterday is proving to be nothing other than hopium, bouncing from a 21 exponential. So the dominance chart bouncing is not going to be good for altcoins. However, if we do, for whatever reason, close below here or break down below here, this would be good in the short term, giving us a golden cross retest. So alts rally, and outperform Bitcoin for a very short period of time, only to be catapulted back up to a new local high. And this is where things get really exciting, actually, because if we do start to, and we probably will at some point, to be honest with you, probably some point soon, hit that 58% dominance, maybe even the 62 to 63% dominance, that's where a real alt season begins. A real one, a rotation alt season. But until then, the best we can hope for would be a breakdown, little alt rally, back into Bitcoin or back into cash, and then a bounce up, and then maybe start rotating or at least ploughing some serious cash into some altcoins around these levels. Right, that is basically it. Now, if you want to join the Patreon, there's links in the description below. Other than that, I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.